Hello, today I wanted to talk about top-down arcade racing games, specifically about an old one, the Gaelco World Rally game, and the newer one, Super Woden GP2, that you can get from Steam. I'm going to talk about what made World Rally one of my favorite arcade games of all time and compare it to a modern arcade racer that has taken much inspiration from it but turned it into a much bigger and more involved game for modern times. Let's get racing! Now, World Rally has a special place in my heart, because in the 90s my family went to Lake Garda in Italy almost every year, and there was an arcade in the small tourist town of Torbole. Now, what you need to know is that arcades were practically non-existent in Germany, because we had a law that made it illegal to visit arcades if you were under 18, making arcades completely unviable from an economic standpoint. So the only time I ever played arcade games back then was when we went to Italy on our holidays. My parents gave me some money and allowed me to go there alone, and I'd rather play video games, of course, as a good nerd than doing any kind of outdoor activity. And even though the money only lasted for maybe 30 minutes, I often spent the whole day there watching others play, or from time to time a nice other visitor of the arcade would gift me a game or two, or I played together with them. My favorite two games were Operation Wolf and World Rally. I always loved racing games, I always loved digitized art, and what I really liked is that you had the steering wheel and that the difficulty was not that high, so you can actually get some decent playtime out of your money. So when I've learned that Evercade released a cartridge that contained the game, I had to get my hands on it. I'm really happy how the game plays on a big TV, even with a gamepad and not a steering wheel. It's just a great title to hop in, play for a few minutes and get that nostalgia kick. Okay, this is funny. While editing the video, I just found out that World Rally 2 was released on the Evercade as well. I always thought that they missed that one, but well, I just put it in my Amazon shopping cart, but I'm not going to wait until it arrives. I'm going to release the video, as I've already captured some footage of World Rally 2 on the MAME emulator. The game is more or less what you see. You race against the clock, have 60 seconds to complete a track and try to beat the high score. The handling of the car feels really great, it's very snappy and you can go around the corners with a lot of control. You definitely will have an advantage if you learn the track, but the arrows help to get through it the first time. There are 4 different trophies you can participate in with different difficulties that all consist of several tracks. But even the expert trophy is manageable after you've tried a few times. After you've completed one trophy, you can go on to the next and play through all 4 of them. The presentation looks great for a game from that time, in my opinion. You have vibrant colors, you have very different looking tracks and this pseudo-realistic looking art style and presentation all around. I don't have any direct nostalgia for the sequel, I did not play that back then, but well, it's quite similar to the first one, so I still like it very much. Biggest differences is that it has a 2-player mode, so there were 2 arcades that were connected to each other and you can race against a friend. And it had updated graphics and you were able to choose between 3 different cars. Now the tracks look nicer and more detailed, but that comes as a cost because they are now a bit harder to read. A problem that in my opinion plagues many modern racing games as well, where the almost photoreal graphics of the track really makes it sometimes hard in a split second to see where you have to go and what's really going on. But maybe I'm just growing old and don't have the split second reflexes anymore that I used to. Nevertheless, the sequel definitely got more difficult. I feel like the handling is more twitchy and the cars are harder to control. Maybe they're also faster, not quite sure about that, but it's definitely a bigger challenge than the first game. For an arcade where you have to pay money, that's bad, but if you play it at home, you might actually prefer a higher difficulty. So all in all, both games are really great. Back then they were, but they are still now. They scratched that itch that few other racing games did for a long time, because it's just a very different feel to play a game from a top-down perspective instead of first person, and it still feels very different to games like Super Off-Road, Skid Marks or Micro Machines, because it's just a bit zoomed in more and a bit more realistic from the handling. So you can imagine that I was very excited when I found out that there is a modern take on the genre by the game Super Woden GP2. Yes, that's a sequel, didn't play the first one, but the second one is really great and I want to tell you about it. Hello, I've been asked how to best support my channel. I don't have a Patreon for the time being, but you can do the usual, subscribe to the channel, watch the videos, tell your friends about it. And if you really want to help out, I've got a Steam developer page where you can find all the games I've released on Steam, some free, some for a small amount of money, and if you download those or even leave a Steam review, that would be greatly appreciated. And now, back to the video.
Get ready! 3, 2, 1, go! Medium left, easy right. Very long left.
Even though Super Woden GP takes inspiration from arcade games like World Rally, it differs in quite a few ways. The first thing you will notice is that the driving feels completely different. The cars handle much more realistic and you have to deal with over and understeering. The track surface also makes a bigger difference, and it will take some time before you really get used to it and get a good hold of your car. But that's perfectly fine, because Super Woden GP is much more than a simple arcade racer. Besides the arcade mode, you have a full progression-based campaign where you unlock new events, buy cars, upgrade the cars and play in different race modes with street and rally racing. You'll have online high scores for each track, and there are really a lot of them, as well as tons of cars and events, so this game will keep you entertained for quite a while. I've caught myself multiple times just playing that one more race before quitting and was surprised how the time flew by when I looked at the clock. The graphics are nothing to write home about, but they have a Korean art style and I quite enjoyed the vibrant colors and different weather conditions. Generally there's this nice amount of variety, so the game doesn't get old on your eyes. The cars in the game are not officially licensed, but they are very close to real-world manufacturers, and there are even ways to mod the game so that you get the real manufacturer and car names. The game is quite challenging, so don't expect to win every race at the first try, but it's also very rewarding when you do. I feel it's maybe a bit too grindy, because you sometimes have to play races repeatedly to earn enough money to buy the next car, but it's not overdone, and in the end racing is fun, so it's not a big issue. The game has received plenty of updates with new features, new content and improvements. You really get the impression that the developer cares a lot about the game. It has been made mostly by a single Spanish developer, which kind of makes sense because, well, World Rally was also from a Spanish company, right? It currently sits at very positive at Steam and is about $13, but you can get lucky with a discount. So in the end, which game is better? Well, that depends very much on what you're looking for. If you just want to jump into a game for a few minutes of racing fun, World Rally is a bit more approachable, but if you're looking for a real game that will keep you entertained for a lot longer, then you will definitely have more fun with playing Super Woden GP2. I will always look back at World Rally with nostalgia tinted glasses, but it doesn't bring me back to those holidays in Italy in the 90s, so more often than not I take them off and play Super Woden GP2 instead. I can't wait though until I get my hands on World Rally 2 and play that with a friend for the first time. And as Evercade just announced their Evercade Alpha Mini Bar Top Arcade, I can't wait to play that on there as well, even though I have to wait a bit longer until that gets shipped. And I still would love to have a steering wheel there, but well, one can dream, right? I hope you had some fun watching this video and got inspired to check out these games or watch some of my other videos. And with that, see ya!